Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week I'm making a new clock for the shed. See you in a minute. Now, one of the casualties of the tool wall up there that I built was that the clock had no place to live, and for a while I've had it a bit higher up on a hook, but I hadn't attached it through the proper fixing point and it's fallen off the wall and broken the top. It's generally a little bit ratty now, so I've decided it's time to do something I've been thinking about for a long while, and that is getting a proper small shed clock made. It's a fairly simple build. I'm just going to use the little laser engraver to do a logo in the middle. I was just playing with a bit of MDF and setting up the laser engraver the other day, and within about 10 minutes I'd ended up with a piece of MDF that I oiled, and then I'd got some of this leftover slat spine that I'd cut for the community bookcase to join the timber. Just made a little edging for it with 45-degree joints, glued it up, oiled it up, got myself a little tray come tea cup holder or just caddy for bits, whatever. Anyway, it didn't take a second or two, and that's really what set the thought process going. So I've got a little piece of the plywood that I'm using that's come off the packing cases. It's not very good on the back, but the front is quite nice. So I'm first of all just going to do a small shed logo in it, and I think I'm going to centre the hands on the little middle bit there. I'm just doing it towards the end of the working day so I can get it going and worry about the huge amount of debris in the air by just leaving the door open, and not worry too much because I won't be in here. Yeah, there are a couple of downsides to this printer, one of which is that it takes a long while. To do that logo took nearly an hour. Well, I think it was just over an hour actually to burn that. Some of it depends on the amount of depth that you use and the power of the laser, but I don't want too much because it's a white background rather than the MDF, so a little bit of burn should be okay. And all we do is import pictures, go to the little set of pictures that we have. Down the bottom I've got a small shed logo, bring that in, set aside. I'll probably go with something around the same size that was, which is getting towards its maximum. That's about 70mm square. I think it'll do up to just about 80, but we'll try 70. Yeah, maybe a bit smaller. Let's try it at 60. Okay, and then all we need to do is switch the machine on, and connect the attached device, and then we'll just position the frame on it, and then that just gets a rough idea of where it's going to print. Now I want the logo to be printing towards the top, so I want about 50mm from the bottom line to be the centre. So we've got a piece of 250mm, centre would be 125, 50 down from that, about 75mm. I want the bottom line to be running, so I'll just move that up a bit. There, just square that so that it's roughly square with the thing, and we'll get it in the middle if we can, roughly. Again, I've got plenty of room to work with, and again the beauty of this is you can stick a rule underneath the side. That's got 125mm that side, and 135 that, so it's pretty much centered up, pretty much square. Stop that, frame positioning, and we set start, and off it goes. Now that's the level of contamination in the shed before I start. If you look at the sort of key figures, and even now you can see it's starting to climb, but if you look at about 400 being the top line, down to 2. We'll come back to that in a couple of minutes.
Imagine it. Things get out of hand.
So that's it finished. Let's just have a look at this monitor on the wall and see what we're up to. Yeah, that's the difference. 400 up to 4, nearly 50,000 particles. And that's the biggest downside, I think, of this. Right, so the clock face is now set up. I've drawn a circle based on the length of the fingers, or the longest fingers. I can find it, is the sweep hand. So I've drawn a circle very lightly in pencil based on that centre, and I've divided it into 30-degree segments, marked out the area that I want to cut it to. It's a matter really of thinking far enough ahead, in that the minute I drill a big hole in that for the clock mechanism, I lose the ability to put a circle in with a pair of compasses to sort that out. So I've done that first. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet with the markers, whether I put a small hardwood dowel or block or something, but I've got the positioning there. I know exactly where they've got to go, so I'll get that sorted. All I do now is drill a small Forstner bit through the centre of that part there, in order to get the clock mechanism coming up with the centre right in that bolt. And that gives me the centre hole done reasonably neatly. It has also highlighted the first problem I've got now, which is that the threaded length of this clock mechanism is too short for the depth of that hole. You can get longer extended ones, but this is reusing what I've already got. So the only way around that now is to rebate out the back with a router. I'll just mark roughly where it needs to be. Probably do it by hand, it's not anything desperately pretty. Right, that's got the rough shape out, so it doesn't have to be pretty because it doesn't show. That should go through there now, and that leaves me a little bit of room to get the nut and a washer on it. So that's that bit sorted. Now I've just got to have a think about what I'm going to do with these hand position markers. I'm just marking the holes for the hour positions, before I sand all the pencil marks off, just had an idea that the piece that I'm actually replacing with the centre of the clock is part of the logo of the shed, and what that comprises of is a bolt with a posi drive type screw in the middle of it. So I'm thinking that for all of the markers I will do exactly the same thing. That is a small bolt with a posi drive screw in the middle. Simple, effective, and on trend with the clock itself. So I'll just sand all this off now, give it a coat of lacquer, and I think I'm pretty much there with it. Well, that's it. Now all I need to do is find somewhere to put it, but that's restored it to something custom made for the shed from something cheap and nasty that was falling apart because I dropped it. Right, I've just screwed a little hook and eye in the back. There's one on the wall there as well, so that should now just hook up there. We now have a clock back in the shed. Right, well, that's got the new clock sorted and working. It's more a case of repurposing than making, I suppose, but we've got something out of the old, remains of the old one anyway. Hope it was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week, and I'll try and do something different then. See you then. Bye!